Hello, my little yarnivores and spiderettes. Fiber Spider back again with another tutorial for you. And today I'm going to show you how to crochet a diamond motif, which you can then join together rather easily. And I'm going to show you how to do that as well. And so this project is a scarf that I'm working on. And I am sort of on the fence between two different names. The Harlequin scarf, which I think is most fitting. Also, the stained glass scarf. Now, you can, of course, use these motifs to make a blanket, a shawl, table runner, you name it. You know, the sky's the limit. They are very much akin to granny squares in their overall makeup, as you were. Like I said, I'm going to show you how to join them together. It's really not difficult. It's quite simple. And I use the join as you go method, as you can see here. So that reduces the amount of sewing that you have to do, which is great. Now I have another piece here that I'm currently working on. This piece, by the way, I did with just random balls of worsted weight yarn, really great for stash busting. And this piece is a blanket that I'm working on. And this blanket that I'm currently in the midst of working on was done with, I believe it's Lion brand yarn. Excuse me. Yes, Lion brand yarn ice cream in the big scoop. And this colorway is mint, although it looks kind of bluish. And I just thought, how beautiful is this? You know, just manipulating the squares so that the colors aren't directly the same when they're touching each other. You know, I tried to move them around a bit as I was stitching them together. And I thought that this would make a really lovely throw or perhaps a baby blanket. Absolutely love how this is coming out. Again, this is also a work in progress. And I just really wanted to share this with you. Now, you can, manipulate these motifs in whatever manner you want, naturally. But for the sake of this tutorial, if you want something for this winter season and you want to do it fairly quick, it's a great scarf, most indubitably. And yeah, it's really not that hard. Now, I've been working on this since last night, and as you can see, I've gotten pretty far with it. Ta-da! And you can use whatever colors you want. If you want something a bit more traditional, perhaps go with red and white or red and black for sort of a Harlequin look, which I'm sure would be very popular with some people, myself included. And so without further ado, let's get started on the tutorial. Alrighty, so like I said, I'm using for this worsted weight yarn. I believe this is Red Heart Super Saver. I'm not entirely sure, but it's something I had in my stash. And I'm using a size H crochet hook, although you can use whatever works best for you, by all means. The blanket that I showed earlier, that actually, because it's a weight of 3 yarn, I'm using a size G crochet hook for that piece, just so that you're aware. So we're going to start with a slip knot, as per usual. And then for the first round, we're going to start by chaining up 4 stitches. And then do a slip knot to create a ring, like so. And we're going to be using this ring that we've created to work our first round of stitches in. So we're going to start by chaining up 1, and then into the center ring, we're going to do a series, starting with a single crochet stitch. Also, going to be stitching over this tail end, which will make it a lot easier in the long run, as I always try to do. And so we did a chaining of 1, a single crochet within that ring. Then we're going to proceed with a half double crochet. Pull through all 3 there. Then a double crochet. And then a treble or triple crochet. So we went from single to half to double to treble. Then chain 3. And then going back into that ring, we're going back down. So we went up to a treble. Now we're going from a treble back down to a single. So we're starting with a treble now. Then a double. Then a half double. Then a single. And then we're going to work our way back up again. So we did the single, so now it's a half double. Then a double. If my yarn will behave, there we go. Then a treble. Okay. Then we need to chain 3 again. And then we have to work our way down again, so we need a treble. There we are. Then a double. And then a half double. Now, because we started with a single, we only have 1 single on this side, and we have 1 single right here. So it went from single, half, double, treble, treble, double, half, single. Half, double, treble, more chains, treble, double, half, and now we need to do a slip stitch into the single. Now I find that the easiest way to find it, and I do this practically every time, is I count backwards from the treble. So you can see treble, double, half, and here is the single. So we slip stitch into the single, and that is the end of the first round. Now, for those of you that followed some of my other videos, I did a garland using just this first single round of this particular pattern and joining the these rounds together end to end to create a really nice garland. But we're going to continue on. We're going to do 2 more rounds for this motif, and that will make up a finished diamond. All right, so onwards to round 2. All right, so for round 2, we're going to start by chaining up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's going to count as a double crochet and a chain 2. First 3 always count as a double, then the next 2 count as a chain 2 space. Now into that same stitch right there, we are going to do a double crochet. So right into here. You see right in there. Going to do a double crochet. So we have 2 double crochets into that same stitch, separated by chain 2. All right. Now we're going to do a double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. So that's 1 and 2 and 3. Then into this chain 3 space, we're going to do 3 double crochets, sort of a cluster, if you will. Alrighty, so that's 3 doubles. And we're going to now chain 4. And then 3 more double crochets. All right. Then we're going to do a double crochet into the next 3 stitches. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And now we need to make this space just like we did at the bottom. So into the next stitch, which was our first, sorry, not our first, but our single crochet stitch right in the middle there, it is going to be a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet into that same stitch. And that creates a chain 2 space on either side of the diamond. Now we're going to proceed along by doing a double crochet into the next 3 stitches. It's 1, 2, and 3. Now we've reached the chain 3 space again, so 3 double crochets into that chain space. So that's 3 doubles, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then 3 more doubles into that same space, just like we did on the other side. Then 3 more doubles, 1 into each of the next 3 stitches. That's 1 and 2 and 3. All right. Now we need to do a slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the bottom. So it's 1, 2, and 3. Now, it can be a little bit tricky, I admit. However, a great trick is, as you can see here, I'm slipped into this stitch here, and there are 2 stitches in between where my hook is and where this first double is. And that's a great way of being able to figure out where you're at. So a slip stitch right into there. And that is the end of the 2nd round. Ta-da! Alrighty, so for the 3rd and last round of this motif, we're going to start by chaining up 3. And that's going to count as a double crochet, of course. Then into the chain 2 space, work 1 double crochet. Then chain 3, work another double crochet into that chain 2 space, and then into the next 2 double crochets, do a double crochet into each, there we go. And that is our first cluster of 3 right there. And this cluster on this side, we will finish up on the way around. Alrighty. So now we have our 3 doubles, chain 1, skip the next double crochet, and go into the next one with the double, and into the next 2 double crochets, do a double crochet into each. So it's another cluster of 3, chain 1, then we're going to skip this last double crochet and go directly into this chain 4 space. So skipping that one, going into the space with 3 double crochets. Okay, get my yarn untangled, sorry. Then we're going to chain 5. Now, a great way of remembering how many chains to do is you're always increasing by 1. So for instance, down here, we had a chain 2 space. Up here, we have a chain 3 space. Okay? Now over on this side, it was a chain 3 space, then a chain 4 space, and now we're doing a chain 5 space. And that I find is a really great way of remembering how many chains you're supposed to do with each successive round. So we did our 3 cluster there. So we're chaining 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then back into the chain 4 space with 3 more double crochets. Okay. Chain 1. Skip that first double crochet going into the next one. We're doing 3 double crochets in a row. There we are. Chain 1. Skip the next double crochet, go into the next one. We're doing 3 more double crochets. 1, 2. And my yarn is giving me trouble, I'm sorry. So I did 2 double crochets. Now the third one is going to be in that chain 2 space. Right into that space, like so. Then we chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Double crochet into that same space. And then we need to finish up the cluster on this side. So we've got 3 on this side. So now we need to do 3 on this side. So into that first double, do another double crochet. And then 1 more to complete the cluster, like so. Chain 1, skip a double crochet going into the next, then 2 more to finish the cluster. Chain 1, then into the chain 4 space, 3 double crochets, then we're going to chain 5 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 3 double crochets into the chain 4 space again, and 2 and 3, chain 1 again, skip that first double crochet going into the next, and 2 more to do yet another cluster of 3, as you can see. Chain 1, skipping a double crochet going into the next with a double crochet, and then last but not least, we're going to do a slip stitch into the top third chain, do a slip stitch, and ta-da! A complete diamond granny-ish, granny-esque. See, if you add ish or esque at the end of any word, you can get by. So that's the end of how to make your very first one. Now, this is going to be the only one that you actually need to do from start to finish. The rest of them you can do the join as you go method, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Alright, so what I did was I ripped out some stitches so I can show you how going from an unfinished diamond, you can then connect it to your pre-existing work in the join as you go sort of method. Now, if you recall, there are 3 chains that need to, just like down in here, there are 3 chains. And it helps to have an odd number because if we want to connect it to this piece here, it would be, let me show you. To continue along, you would connect it from this point to this point, and this point to these points here, this hole here, and this hole here. And that way, going from here, joining, and then here connecting, and then just finishing up the last of this segment here. And then I will show you how to do another join or 2 so that you get the full gist, because this is not your typical square joining, so it can be a little bit trickier. So that being said, when you are joining at the top here, you would start by chaining 1, then the second of the 3 is going to be a slip stitch. So getting this piece here, we're going to go underneath. See, that's the top side, and this is the top side, the right side. So you're going underneath, and we're going to slip stitch. Sometimes it's easier if you hold them wrong side to wrong side. And so going underneath, do a slip stitch, and that's technically 2 chains. So for the 3rd chain, just chain 1 more, then continue working by going into that chain 2 space with a double crochet. Oops. Happens to me too. Sorry. So doing a double into that chain 2 space, and then 2 more to complete the trio cluster. All right, now we need to continue to connect this piece to this piece as we're going down this side. So to do that, see, I joined in the corner here. Now I need to connect into this spot here. So to do that, we're going to do another slip stitch. Instead of chaining 1, like we did like down here in between the clusters, we're going to do a slip stitch. So again, slip stitch from underneath and pull it on through, and that is the connection. Let me get that out of the way, see? And you can make that a little bit tighter, which I'm going to do now so that it's a bit more sturdy. So you do a slip stitch, connecting, and then go back down into your double crochets. Don't forget, you need to skip that double going into the next. And so doing 3 double crochets. Now we need to do another slip stitch to my pink piece. And skipping this last gray one, going into my chain 3 space, sorry, my chain 4 space, excuse me. I know this may sound confusing, and I'm trying to simplify matters, believe me. All right, so I did my slip stitch, going back into my chain 4 space with a cluster of 3 double crochets. And now I'm at the point where I have 5 chains to compensate for, right? So I have found what works for me. If you find another system that works better for you, by all means go for it. Okay, so I need to go from here, chaining 5 and going back into here, right? Well, we also need to connect these spaces here, the bottom of the pink and the corner of the yellow. So what I find works is I will chain 2, then I will slip stitch into the pink and then into the yellow. So slip stitched into the pink, then I'm going to slip stitch into the yellow, and then one more chain because I chained 2, the pink made 3, the yellow made 4, and one more chain makes 5. Then we're going to go back into finishing up the gray with 3 double crochets into that corner gray space, chain 1, skip the first double, going into the next 3 doubles, chain 1, skip the next double, going into the next double with a double, and then, as we finished up before, slip stitch into the top of that double. Slip stitch into there, and you can now snip your yarn, pull out the loop, and it's connected. So to recap what I did is I did a chain 1, a slip stitch. Let me get a better camera angle here. There we go. So I did a chain 1, then a slip stitch into this pink corner, and I did another chain 1 to complete my 3 chains up here. Continued along down in here with my 3 doubles, then a slip stitch to the pink piece, then 3 more doubles, then another slip stitch to the pink, then 3 more doubles right down in here, and then a slip stitch, a chain of 2, then my slip stitch into the pink, my slip stitch into the yellow, one more chain, and then finished off that corner. And that is how you can do the join as you go method. And this is just one example of how you can join them. Now, what you can do is, of course, then join another segment in the same exact way from here down to here, but then you would end up needing to fill a shape like this, which can be a little bit tricky because instead of just connecting the corner here, you would need to connect here and up here and down here. And I'm going to show you how to do that because, like I said, I want to be thorough, and that is very important to me. So I'm going to show you how to join multiple points to make it a little bit easier for you. All right, I will be right back and we will continue on. All right, so to clarify before I actually start, I'm up to the 3rd round of one of my motifs. And so if you want to fill up a space like this, what I did was I crocheted along until I reached one of my end points. All right, so I'm up to the chain 5 part, and we're going to use that so that I can connect to the bottom point of this diamond. And then we will continue and we will connect up here from essentially here to here, and then from over here to over here, right? And then of course you can continue along in the standard method. All right, so since it's an odd number, chain 2, 1, 2, then the third will be the connecting slip stitch to that point. And then we need 2 more to flush out and finish out the 5. Then into that corner space, 3 more double crochets. And now we need to do our connecting slip stitches again. So that's right to there. Skip this first double, going into the next 3 with doubles. Need another slip stitch to the orange work. Then 3 more doubles, but we have to skip that first one, going to the next. 2. And the third one is going to be into that chain space. And now I'm going to back up a little and I'm going to show you what I did. All right, so as you can see, I chained 2, slip stitched to that corner, and then continued along. Instead of doing my chain 1s, I slip stitched, 3 doubles, slip stitched, 3 doubles, and now we need to connect to this one and to this one. You could even also connect to this one. However, I find that it's easier to do it in the way that I'm about to show you. And also, as I always say, if you find a method that works better for you, by all means, go right ahead and do it. You know, I am not the end-all, be-all, grand high poobah. So, with that being said, I'm going to continue along, and I'm going to do a slip stitch into the orange, okay? Then I'm going to chain 1 and then slip stitch into the green. And then I'll show you how it looks. So again, going in from underneath, slip stitch into the orange. Now you could also go into, for your third chain, going into here, but I like to just chain 1. So we started with a slip stitch to the orange, a chain 1, then slip stitch into the green, like so. Then continue on working down into my main piece. So that would be a double crochet into the chain space, 2 more double crochets to finish up my trio. Then we need to slip stitch down this side. Before I do that, again, I would like to show you how it looks. There you go. Personally, I just find that it works out a little bit easier. See, I did a slip stitch into the orange, then I chained 1 and I slip stitched into the corner of the green. And I've got my 3, so we need to continue on by slip stitching into the green, like so. And then we're going to skip that first one, going into the next 3, like so. And then slip stitch into the next green space. And then we're skipping this last double, going into that chain 4 space with 3 doubles. It's another trio. And we've reached the chain 5 space again, right? So we're going to chain 2, then do a slip stitch into the green, and then chain 2 again for a total of 5. And then last but not least, going back into our piece with 3 double crochets, 2 and 3, chain 1, skipping that first double, going into the next 3 double crochets, like so. Chain 1, skip the next double, go into the last available double crochet, and then of course you would slip stitch into the top of that last double crochet, and then that's the end of your round. And it's all nice and neatly connected, like so. Now, if you don't like the way that this looks, you know, you could, of course, always sew them together. There's nothing wrong with that. I just really like how easy it is, you know, at least in my warped thinking, how easy it is to do the join as you go method, because you don't have to sew them together and, you know, deal with all the extra ends or the extra bulk that is created by crocheting them together, you know, with a single crochet, you know, stitching them together as you go along. That can be a little daunting in and of itself. But I really do hope that I was thorough enough without being long-winded, and that it has helped you to understand how you too can create a really beautiful Harlequin style, stained glass style diamond granny piece. And I had so much fun with this, as I always do, and I hope you did too. And if you did, please hit the little thumbs up, little like button down below. And if you have any questions, comments, what have you, please, you know, let me know in the comment section down below, because I love hearing from you guys. You guys are so inspirational and supportive, and I appreciate it ever so much, beyond I could tell you. And also, if you haven't hit the subscribe button already, please do so, because I try to post videos as often as I can just for you guys. And so listen, until next time, I want you guys to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, and above all, stay stitching. I love you all, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.